Hello everyone, I'm Mario and I welcome you to the DIY Carpenter channel. In this tutorial I will present to you an extremely interesting tool. I will show you how to use it and what wonders this tool can do for you at home or in your woodworking shop. I want you to know that this tutorial is not sponsored by Bosch. As a first step, I will carefully choose the router bit that I am going to use. I will insert it into the machine's hole and make sure that it enters enough to fix it very well, considering that depending on the router, the rotation speed is in the tens of thousands per minute. We rotate the nut until it can no longer be turned with the help of the special key, pressing at the same time the red button that locks the shaft. If you care about your health, I suggest wearing safety glasses, hearing protection headphones and using a dust mask. When using power tools, it is important to wear tight-fitting clothing. This is an accessory that comes with any router regardless of the brand. It can be used as a limiter, and you will see in the following examples how it is also used as a compass. Here are the tightening screws for the two rails. If we compare it to the classic compass and pencil from the geometry set, this tip represents the tip of the compass and will always be fixed, while the pencil will be represented by the router bit, which will be mobile and will move around the axis to draw rays or circles depending on our needs. We can see how easily the distance between these 2 points can be increased or decreased. With this red lever, we adjust how much the bit penetrates into our material. To explain this even better, I will move on to practice. I have marked a point of origin on this board to obtain a radius with a diameter of 120 mm. I drilled a hole with a 3mm drill bit at the obtained point, and now I am inserting the fixed part of the compass into the hole. Now I can proceed to the actual creation of the radius I need, but not before making the final adjustments. The secret of using the router in woodworking is to gradually penetrate the material with the bit. This technique will help us increase the lifespan of the router bits, keep us safe, and increase the chances of making furniture boards without defects. We create the 120 mm radius layer by layer, repeating the movements. Notice my left hand gently pressing the compass in the area where the tip is. I had to round the corners of this exterior windowsill after cutting the material both lengthwise and widthwise. This is how the windowsill looks in its final form, mounted in place. A 90-degree cut on the right side, where access to the kitchen is made, could have produced injuries. I will now change the router bit with the one shown in the video to exploit another function of this power tool. Before you move on to the final routing of the wood or plywood panels needed for your project, test it on other scrap materials. Another point on my presentation list is the creation of this cutout in two identical boards, simulating a joint between them. This time this accessory will function as a limiter. These two locking screws help me fix the limiter in the final position. You can easily observe how I penetrate the material layer by layer without forcing it. If you think the joint is successful, I leave it up to you to decide. I am partially satisfied. For the next example, I will replace the bit with one with a copying bearing. I forgot to mention that the router comes with two types of accessories for fixing bits. One is for bits with an 8mm shaft and the other for bits with a 6mm shaft. Starting the router is done by pressing two buttons simultaneously: the unlocking button and the power button. Now I will create these two cutouts from the video on the two MDF doors, on the back of which I applied this tinted glass. With the help of the multifunctional square presented in another episode added to the description and a marker, I clearly delimit the area to be cut out. I make 4 holes in the corners of the drawn rectangle to allow the jigsaw's blade to be inserted. I fixed a piece of oak board on the line I marked with the marker. Thus the board becomes a template for the bit's bearing. The board is underneath and will guide the bit's bearing to cut off the excess material by a few millimeters, intentionally left when I cut with the jigsaw. This excess will be cut with the router so the window frame remains clean without unevenness or other defects. The first door is ready and perfect to use as a template for the second door. Now everything will become easier and faster. The heat gun comes into play to help me apply the edge bandings. It is clear that the router can do many things, especially if you know how to use its applications. It is extremely useful when we want to introduce wiring into our furniture elements. It can also help you when you need to shorten panels or when you need to obtain pieces in the shape of a circle, triangle, or irregular shapes for your project. And that's it for this episode, in the hope that you have learned new and interesting things. I would be delighted if you leave a comment or give a like to this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out my other interesting tutorials.